day, he just making it worse and worse on himself. At and and then you got people that's trying to cape for him. But I'm gonna explain to you what's going on with Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson, and I'm gonna do a video later on, and you're gonna have a better understanding. But Frank Martin did an interview. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? This ain't on the interviewers, but this is on Frank Martin. At the end of the day, Frank Martin could try to talk slick and smart all he want, but anybody with common sense and slightly understand the sport of boxing, how it works, it looks bad on Frank Martin. And then the funny thing is he trying to talk like he was in a position to call shots. At the end of the day, dudes, you got 100 racks for your last fight. Once again, you keep trying to bring up Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. That don't got nothing to do with you. You needed to worry about your business. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's gonna be people that's gonna make excuses for Frank Martin because at the end of the day, they just PBC apologists. Well, at the end of the day, Frank Martin should have took that $1 million because after January 1st, there's speculations that the PBC may not have a network home. Okay, so that's more reason why you should have took that fight. At the end of the day, you can sit up and talk about what happened with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson all you want, and what happened with you and Shakur Stevenson. At the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson has a fight date. You don't. Devin Haney has a fight date. You don't. Frank Martin is going to be sitting on the couch. And we know you ain't fighting Tank. We know you ain't fighting Tank. We know that fight ain't happening next. So at the end of the day, I didn't hear you say that you was going to be featured on Spence versus Crawford 2. So you really ridiculous sitting up here trying to act like you made a boss move when you ain't getting no check. Well, KP, I'm trying to explain this to them. Some of these dummies still want to listen to some of these bogus ass narrative spin doctors. It's no way you could talk yourself out of it. Please, KP, please explain to me. You made 100 racks your last fight, but you turned down $1 million. And then you trying to act like you should have got more when you fighting in ballrooms and conference rooms. You have yet to fight in a full-fledged arena, but you talking like you made a boss move. Now you don't have nothing. Now you ain't getting no check. So you have the pleasures of sitting up at your house or wherever you stay, watching Shakur Stevenson fight opponent where you could have been that opponent and you was guaranteed the biggest payday of your career. And you still trying to put this on Shakur Stevenson, and then you got people trying to protect you and trying to pull the wool over people's head who got common knowledge. Anybody that believe what Frank Martin is trying to sell to you, you are dumb as rocks. You are naive. And if you trying to side with Frank Martin, you full of shit. It's no way you can justify what Frank Martin did. He pulled out of the fight. It's that simple. He didn't believe he could win the fight. It doesn't matter whether you say you didn't ask for half or whatever. At the end of the day, it's factual. Everybody confirmed that you was guaranteed $1 million and you walked away from it, or your so-called handlers turned it down. Like I said, the fight was announced the following Tuesday. You had all week to say nothing's official, that I haven't signed anything, we still working out. You had all day long, all week long to say, nah, nothing's official. Then when the reports come out that you walked away from the fight, you was no longer interested, all of a sudden you pop up on Twitter. Y'all don't find that suspicious? And I find it funny. Once again, you have these narrative pushers. They love to tell everybody else how much they should take. They love to negotiate for Terrence Crawford. They love to negotiate for Shakur Stevenson. But these people are trying to justify this man walking away from his biggest payday, where he pretty much was going to make 10 times the amount plus something extra possibly. Y'all really listen to these dudes? Y'all really listen to these dudes? These are the people that you listen to. This dude turned down $1 million, and you got people trying to somehow put this on Shakur Stevenson. And then he admitted he pretty much told on himself, and he changed his story throughout that interview. See, I listened to that interview. He said in the interview, well, it was for a vacant belt, but if Shakur wins the belt, then we can revisit it down the line. Dude, why would Shakur Stevenson revisit it down the line? Because if he got the belt, then he really could call the shots. We all know that Shakur Stevenson is a more accomplished fighter. You like I said, once again, you fighting in ballrooms that hold at capacity maybe 2,000 people, and from what I heard, you only sold half of that. You selling 1,000 tickets, dude. What is you talking about, dude? You selling 1,000 tickets. And then you got these cornballs and these idiots trying to sit up here and cape for you, because all this is all about trying to slander and attack Shakur Stevenson. But I'm gonna make the connection. You're gonna get even less if they try to revisit the situation. You went from a guaranteed 1 million, now they can offer you like 500,000, 300,000. So what is you gonna get your next fight? So if you happen to fight on Spence versus Crawford 2, I guarantee you ain't gonna get $1 million for that fight. You're gonna get the same 100 racks that you've been getting. But at the end of the day, it came down to, it's once again the PBC not believing in their fighters versus Top Rank, because of the history. The Top Rank fighters got an astronomical win-lose record versus head-to-head matchups with PBC fighters. That's all it came down to. They saw what Terrence Crawford did to Errol Spence, and they thought that Shakur was going to do the same to Frank Martin. Frank Martin looked very pedestrian, and he struggled in his last fight. All this stuff about he picked it up later on, that was a dude that they expected you to destroy, and you struggled against that dude, and a lot of people thought that you possibly lost that fight. Like I said before, man, nobody can sit up here. Like I said, this is what make me mad about some of these content creators. They try to do all that fast talking and try to make it look like they know what they talking about. Because see, the difference between me and other people, I ain't no hoe. I don't fall for the fast talking that some of these dudes try to do and try to make it look like what they saying making sense. You cannot. Once again, Steve Fulton had to tell Al Haymon, screw you, dude. Because Al Haymon tried to do the same thing with Steve Fulton. Steve Fulton made $3 million to take that ass whooping via anyway. He fought the monster, and he took a monster ass whooping. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that plane ride made him feel a lot better knowing that he was going to get $3 million. I don't know what I mean, I don't know how Japan money works. If he got the money up front, tax-free, they might try to tax him when he they are going to try to tax him when he get to the States. But at the end of the day, he walked away with a $3 million payday. And Al Haymon tried to talk Steve Fulton out of that fight. And Steve Fulton allegedly recording the report threatened to leave Al Haymon in the PBC because of that. He stood up to Al Haymon. All this stuff about, somebody on my team turned down, man. So once again, I didn't hear Frank Martin say he have a power of attorney, because only power of attorneys can turn down stuff on your behalf. And he didn't say that. And I don't want to hear people saying, well, that's his personal business, whether he talking about the money. At the end of the day, Frank Martin, anybody that's trying to make it look like Frank Martin in the position to call shots, that just shows you their credibility as a boxing content creator. I'm exposing these dudes, and I'm going to keep exposing them for not knowing what they talking about and putting out fraudulent reports and just capping and caping. Stop with this Captain Saberhole stuff, man, for the PBC, man. At the end of the day, it's as simple as slicing a motherfucking pie. Frank Martin didn't want the work. His team didn't like Shakur Stevenson. in that fight. They didn't like what they thought Shakur Stevenson was possibly going to do to Frank Martin. And they was like, we can't have another setback. Because we might could save Frank Martin against some, eventually down the line, against some other PBC fighter. Or we might could match him up with Cruz. Oh, yeah. And by the way, Isaac Cruz, SL Cruz, he full of it too. He said something that was so absurd pertaining to fighting Shakur Stevenson. I mean, it's just like, you can't make this up. I mean, some them dudes that's tied to the PBC, they just make fools of themselves. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Al Haymon didn't make these dudes look like suckers. He didn't make them look like puppets. Everybody talk about the top rank pool strings and all this stuff, but what you think Al Haymon doing? So I mean, I mean, it's even worse when a black dude is trying to get over on his own people. At the end of the day, Al Haymon then made the PBC look like it's a luxury car business, but at the end of the day, it's lemons. Soon as you pull out the lot, you know, the car starts smoking. And that's what he been doing by giving us these mismatches, these fraudulent fights, and then, you know, these in-house fights, because at the end of the day, he knew what was up. And then what happened was a lot of people started to see through this PBC stuff, such as myself. And of course, I felt the backlash because people got mad at me and turned on me, started like disrespecting me. And some people was disrespecting me from the gate, and I ignored they bitch asses because, you know, at the end of the day, I already knew what was up. A lot of people, like, you know what I'm saying, was fooled by this. The PBC, when it was first announced, it sounded like it could be something monumental. And the trajectory was to bring mainstream boxing back to the mainstream of yesteryear, where you got fights on regular TV. And due to the fact that Al Haymon and the PBC was reluctant to make certain type of matches, well, it started to catch on. And then at the end of the day, when they were putting pressure on him to make outside fights, well, if he couldn't get what he wanted from Showtime, he'd run to Fox. And if he couldn't get what he wanted from Fox, he'd run to Showtime or maybe Bounce TV at the time when he had all these different networks, Spike TV. But then they started to see the product wasn't what he made it out to be. And then people started to back away from it. So if the PBC is in trouble and losing their network deal, well, you have to put this on Al Haymon. And don't come on here talking this don't go in on the black man stuff. At the end of the day, Al Haymon's name is always mentioned by these dudes. But at the same time, Al Haymon hasn't made himself available to the media. That's the thing that I think that has hurt Al Haymon along the way, and why so many people have turned on Al Haymon, even people from his own community. Because people were reaching out to Al Haymon. People were like, hey, Al, we want to hear what you got to say. Let's hear your side of the story. But then at the end of the day, Al Haymon doesn't respond to us as if he's too good. And of course, that's going to piss people off and alienate himself from people by him acting like we're not good enough to talk to or get it. Al Haymon don't even release statements. Al, when was the last time you seen Al Haymon at a PBC event? Okay, because you've been hearing about other stuff. And like I said before, this is what he's done. Frank Martin's just a long list of fighters who then turned down big money to go fight on other networks. Keep in mind, Keith Thurman was offered a boatload of money to go to the Zone, and he turned it down. He talked Peter Quillen out of giving up his belt. Peter Quillen was never the same. He let Charles Martin go fight on the Zone, which he should have matched him up with Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder would have had a second belt. And then basically you probably could have somehow, some way been able to broker a deal to get Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder for undisputed. But he sent Charles Martin over there. Anthony Joshua got that third belt. And then now look what then happened. We never got that fight. Excuse after excuse why the fight couldn't get made. I don't all the way blame Al Haymon for this, but at the same time, he shouldn't have let Charles Martin go over there. He should have let him fight Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder would have had two belts. So then basically It could have been split right down the middle. They could have negotiated a 3-fight deal. Then, for undisputed, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, before both of them took a loss, they could have probably made in 3 fights. They probably could have made, who knows? They could have possibly walked away with close to $400 million between them in 3 fights. And then Lou DiBella, he all right. He tried to take Deontay Wilder and tried to negotiate a fight behind Al Haymon's back. Al Haymon got mad at Lou DiBella, and he basically cut Lou DiBella off. But I just want y'all to understand something. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to explain to y'all why people be tearing down Shakur Stevenson, because at the end of the day, once again, it's connected to Terrence Crawford, and I'm going to explain that. And you already see how these dudes act. Just like these dudes been crying for the last week and a half about what the weight class should be at with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. This is why I know these dudes truly don't believe in Errol Spence's ability. They think Errol Spence is supposed to have every advantage according to them, from how much money should have got distributed between them and the weight class and all this kind of stuff. Like, man, Terrence Crawford won the damn fight. He has the right. Then you got people putting out these fraudulent videos trying to once again attack Terrence Crawford and vilify him. At the end of the day, it was negotiated. Whoever won the fight, they could pick the weight class. Now people making videos talking about the Terrence Crawford snaked Errol Spence and he betrayed him. Terrence Crawford didn't do shit to Errol Spence except beat his motherfucking ass. That's the only thing Terrence Crawford did to Errol Spence. Beat his ass so bad to the point to where people had to come up with all these built-in excuses. You got these people lying on Terrence Crawford, accusing the man of performance-enhancing drugs and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, this stuff is all connected. All this stuff is all connected, and I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to say this once again. I'm not from Texas, so I don't owe Errol Spence shit. And I'm not dissing the brothers in Texas because my quad is kept. Most of my supporters are from Texas. And that's just real talk. So I ain't got no issue with Texas. But what I'm saying is I'm not from Dallas, so I'm not obligated to be no Errol Spence fanboy. And that's why a lot of dudes, some dudes took issue with me. Had attitudes because I showed support for Terrence Crawford. They got attitudes like little girls and shit. Pouting and all this stuff, saying little slick shit, under their breath and shit on, but at the end of the day, I wasn't worried about it. I ignored them, but it got to the point to where I had to respond to a couple of these goofy ass niggas. But, it is what it is. And I'm going to say this. I know you still listening. Like I said before, you ain't going to do shit. So keep your fake threats. Just like you didn't do shit when you saw me in May in Las Vegas. You just kept on walking. You had that goofy look on your face. Look, I mean, for real, just stop it, dude. I'm not these dudes to do all that screaming and shit. That don't bother me, dude. I'm real good with my hands, legs, and feet. So, I mean, like at the end of the day, just leave it alone. And I'm serious. If you see me, just keep walking. Because I will defend myself if you come near me. And that's just real talk. But this is some of the shit that I done went through. That's really the play. That's what it come down to. Like I said, Frank Martin is down with Errol Spence. So y'all make the connection. I'm going to explain that, like I said, in a separate video. But people just got to keep it real. Frank Martin looked real weak. You cannot justify that man who made that man made $100,000 his last fight and turned down and walked away from $1 million payday. And it also just shows that the PBC don't believe in him or Al Haymon. They thought he was going to go over there and get whooped on. They was like, man, we can't have another massacre like what happened July the 29th. So what people do is they start scheming, saying, oh, I know what we going to do. We going to put this all on Shakur Stevenson. Somehow we going to make this. How is it Shakur Stevenson's fault when Top Rank offered that man $1 million and he walked away from it? So at the end of the day, Frank going to be sitting on the couch November the 16th. And hopefully you fighting in Las Vegas. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't, at worst case scenario, if you don't end up on the undercard of Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford 2, whoo, it's really going to look bad for you. But I didn't hear Frank Martin say that he was going to be fighting possibly on Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford 2. Why did he make that? I didn't hear him say that. If he did, I missed it. Which, if he didn't say it, then that means it's no guarantee. So like I said, come December 9th, which, by the way, wait a minute. They're going to push Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, I think, further back in December, because Tank is supposed to be fighting December the 9th. Allegedly. They say something big. While Devin Haney is going to be fighting in San Francisco. My thing is, I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm going to be in San Francisco. I like Tank, but I'm from the Bay. It would make no sense for me to be sitting up, jumping on a plane, trying to go cover Tank when I can work from home. All I got to do is get on BART or drive to San Francisco if I want to sit up there in that type of traffic and be paying $50 to park and all that kind of stuff, or have to worry about if I'll park my car in some secluded area where they may post a sign that you can't even see saying don't park between 4 and 8 p.m. or you'll get towed, and then my car get towed to San Mateo or somewhere like that. Nah, but I'm just saying I'm still taking that risk. That's just me. And I really wish they wouldn't have these big fights collide on the same nights. You could push these fights back a week or two. But like I said, I'm going to be in San Francisco. I'm in the Bay. It would make no sense for me to sit up there and jump on a plane and try to go to Las Vegas when, like I said before, I could work from home. No hotels, none of that stuff. And I could cover this fight the way I want to and the way this fight should get covered. But, we'll talk about that later. But I just was listening to that interview, getting back to Frank Martin. I digress a little bit, but I got off subject. But then again, the subject is tied into Frank Martin. This is a pattern. How many times I got to tell you this? This is what they do. Like I said, Danny Garcia could have possibly made $4 million to fight Terrence Crawford in New York City at Madison Square Garden. He probably would have made more than that because it would have been a pay-per-view fight. It would have sold out because Danny Garcia is from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is, depending on what part of Philadelphia you in, it's like a hour and 20 without no traffic. It's like an hour and 20 minute, drive from, New York City. So the Puerto Ricans would have came out from Philly. You would have had the Puerto Ricans from New York City, and then you would just had the curious boxing fans, the casuals that would have came to Madison Square Garden. Now Danny Garcia saying, "Oh, I might be interested." Dude, you had your chance. Just like Frank Martin, he had his chance to fight Shakur Stevenson. You walked away from $1 million because of whatever, and then you got people trying to justify that stuff. But these were the same people telling Terrence Crawford, having the audacity to tell Terrence Crawford what they think he should take. But they okay with Frank Martin walking away from $1 million and going back to fighting at ballrooms and conference rooms for $100,000 and selling 1,000 tickets. But these the same people that's talking about Terrence Crawford sales. Like, man, stop the cap. I'm gonna keep blowing these dudes. I'm gonna keep blowing these dudes out the water. Yeah, you're right. He got a monster whooping and he got a monster check. He walked away with $3 million. So, like I said, hey, if I get my ass whooped like that, hey, that $3 million gonna make me feel a lot better. I guarantee you, Steve. I guarantee you, Steve Foltz is somewhere making some investments, probably buying some property. Man, he probably did got over it. He said he wanted a rematch. Hey, I'll take a rematch to get. I'll take a rematch. Any new offer me $2 million, I'll take my black ass right back out there. At this time, he better train better than what he did because I heard he didn't train. So like I said, this just come down to these dudes not standing up to Al Haymon, letting Al Haymon punk them. I would have said, hey, how many times when people were saying, hey, man, so-and-so, they want to offer you a fight, they're going to pay you this amount of money. When Danny Garcia was asked, I asked him, oh, man, call Al Haymon. Why we got to call Al Haymon? Why can't you say yay or nay? Don't you control your own career? Yes or no? I would have told Al Haymon, screw you, dude. Like, for real, dude. And then he took 1.2 to fight Adrian Granados. Let that sink in. You took half of, like I said, Danny Garcia could have made anywhere from maybe $4 to $5 million. It would have did a decent number on pay-per-view. It probably would have did 200,000 or 300,000 on pay-per-view. It would have sold out. It would have had like 17, 18, 19,000 at the Garden. So like I said before, it would have been a successful fight. Obviously, they felt that the money was there to offer Danny Garcia that kind of money. They did the trajectory. They did the numbers. And Danny Garcia, like I said, Danny Garcia did it to himself. So don't sit up there and try to ask for a fight now. You had your chance. Same thing with Ugas. Them dudes all had their chances. And like I said, I ain't forgot how the PBC treated Terrence Crawford. But see, people ignore that. While these people sitting up here trying to character assassinate Terrence Crawford, the PBC been doing that to Terrence Crawford. At first, they wasn't even acknowledging his WBO belt. When I saw them show everybody on the Jumbotron except him, when Terrence Crawford was at Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder won at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. I was there. That's the same weekend I pulled up on Stephen A. Smith. Matter of fact, it was fight night. I pulled up on Stephen A. Smith because my homeboy, the body snatcher, Vince the body snatcher, said, "Deggle that nigga Stephen A. Smith." And he was eating breakfast with some dude. So I told Blue Blood to go over there to distract him so I could run over there. So Blue Blood ran over there and distracted him like he wanted to take a picture. And I pulled up on that dude and he ran off. So I remember all this stuff. And then I remember fight night. They showed Triple G, Jaime Mugia, a few other people. Some people was PBC, some people what. But Terrence Crawford was there, and they didn't show Terrence Crawford on the Jumbotron. Terrence Crawford was never really part of the PBC plans. They never really wanted to make this fight. They had a chance to make this fight last year. And they was talking about they didn't have the revenue. They didn't want to give him an offer that was insulting. Don't y'all remember all that? Y'all don't remember none of that, huh? Oh, okay. Y'all got memory lapse, right? And see, that's what I'm saying about these content creators. See, they don't remember that. When they was saying, like I said, the PBC went out of their way not to make this fight. They tried to devalue Terrence Crawford. They did everything in their power. Errol Spence was trying to devalue Terrence Crawford. These goofy-ass content creators was trying to devalue Terrence Crawford, saying he ain't fought nobody. And then when you look at Errol Spence's resume, well, at the end of the day, Terrence Crawford beat the dudes that Errol Spence fought better. And then when he finally got his hands on Errol Spence was his easiest fight. He struggled with the Mean Machine more than he did Errol Spence, and then that's what it came down to. People couldn't handle it. At the end of the day, some people was nervous from the start. They never really, all these people that's act like they so confident that Terrence Crawford was going to lose to Errol Spence, they never really wanted this fight to get made in the first place. They was shaking like a crap game. They was nervous. They was worried. They was like, okay, what we going to do is, as long as the fight don't get made, we going to tear into Terrence Crawford, destroy this man's reputation, attack him, slander the man's name, do whatever we can to belittle him. And here go the thing, though. Like I said, you dummies help boost Terrence Crawford's popularity by constantly making videos about Terrence Crawford tearing him down. So you had the people that didn't know who Terrence Crawford was looking him up and looking at him fight and said, dang, this Terrence Crawford dude is interesting. He's fascinating. Y'all spent more time So actually, when you was tearing Crawford down, you was actually building him up. So you made his popularity surpass if it didn't catch up with Errol Spence, because according to y'all, Errol Spence was the bigger draw. So you guys helped Terrence Crawford get better revenue from the fight. You helped Terrence Crawford get more money. You dummies helped Terrence Crawford by constantly making videos about him. And you guys were making your most money on AdSense talking about Terrence Crawford, whether it was good or bad. Errol Spence is so popular. Well, how come you wasn't making videos constantly explaining why Errol Spence was the A side or why he was the better fighter? Y'all spent the last 3.5 years tearing into Terrence Crawford, and it backfired on you dumbass motherfuckers. Every last one of y'all. So while y'all, but now you doing it to Shakur. So now you done found a new whipping boy. And it's not going to work. Like I said, now these casuals that don't follow boxing, they can listen to that bullshit that y'all be putting out. But at the end of the day, I know the real with y'all. I know the real with all y'all. Y'all be putting out fraudulent information. And like I said before, anybody that try to justify Frank Martin turning down $1 million, but at the end of the day, they just want to put this on Shakur Stevenson. It's not even about Frank Martin. It's about trying to demonize Shakur Stevenson. But keep in mind, these are the same dudes that say they pro-black, they proud of being black and all this type of stuff. But every time I look around, they trying to tear down and destroy another black fighter. And that's why people don't take the black community serious. This is why they don't take these content creators serious, because at the end of the day, they full of shit. And it just need to be said. Even if it come from me, fine. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I walk these streets. I ain't worried about nobody pulling up on me. Like I said, we all know I go to fights. Ain't nobody pulled up on me. And I done made it very clear, and I mean every word. Whether I'm covering the fight or not, I will protect myself, defend myself, up to using lethal force if I have to. Hope it don't come to that, but I will. Just letting you know. And I ain't talking no tough guy stuff, but I'm just telling the truth. If you mad at me because I won't be an Errol Spence fun boy, that's your damn problem. That's your damn problem. Go sit up there and cry, within the comforts of your own home, or go lay up with you know what I'm saying? Go lay up with your chick and crying her. Why won't he be an Errol Spence fan? Why won't he? And like I said, the way some of these dudes have behaved towards Errol Spence, they kind of deterred people off the Errol Spence. But like I said, these are your so-called pro-black community. They full of shit. That's just the bottom line. But anyway, you guys, I'll be back with more. Just wanted to put that out there. Like I said, Frank Martin, he ducked the fight, and it's just that simple. You just got to use logic. There's no way he could talk around it. How you going to sit up there and say we'll revisit it after Shakur wins the belt? Okay, if you try to revisit the situation, like I said, you're going to get less money. So at the end of the day, he priced himself out. And then at the same time, try to say, well, he did the same. Listen. And I'm going to say this again. You ain't on the level of Devin Haney. You ain't on the level of Shakur Stevenson. You was offered an opportunity. You blew it. You let people mess it up for you. And that's just the bottom line. And nobody can save you, homeboy. If Frank Martin, if you want to bring your ass on here, you more than welcome to come on here. And this isn't about asking you the tough question, but it's like you sitting up here trying to insult people's intelligence, because we didn't seen this pattern with the PBC before, turning down big money to go fight on other networks and not be the lead promoter on the cards. Not the scorecard, but then the promotional cards and leading up in the promotion, not being the secondary promotional company. So, like I said before, you blew a golden opportunity. You screwed up, and that's just the bottom line. And people, as they come across, and the more they hurt their credibility. And that's just the bottom line. Anyway, it's your boy Tan. I'm out.